everybody, and welcome to the Before the Snap podcast. This week, we are introducing a new concept. We haven't seen anyone do this on YouTube yet, and since we are 3 days away from the NFL draft, we decided, let's try this. We are going to simulate the 2013 NFL draft. We have 5 participants here today. Each person has a division. Some of them have 2, and they will be taking over as general manager for each of their teams in their divisions. They will be picking, they will be trading, they will be doing everything that the general managers do on draft day. And with that said, the Kansas City Chiefs are now on the clock. And I want to bring in my co-commentator, Lou Testamark. Lou, what's going on?
Nothing much, James. This is going to be great NFL draft. Chiefs are on the clock. This draft is going to have so many different things going on. A lot of trades, I think, will occur in this draft. This draft isn't particularly top-heavy per se, but there's a lot of value to be had in this draft. Look forward to seeing what the teams decide to do with their draft picks.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Kansas City Chiefs, they've tried to trade this pick. They weren't able to do it. And, I'm learning right now that the pick is now in. The pick is now in for the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's listen in.
With the first pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Luke Jokel, tackle, Texas A&M.
Well, can't say that I did not expect that one, James. Look, this guy has the most NFL-ready game of any of these tackles. The Chiefs are looking to upgrade their left tackle position. They go with Jokel out of Texas A&M. This guy is ready to go right now. Of all the tackles in this draft, I think that his ceiling might be already at its apex, but for what the Chiefs are trying to do right now, I think this is a really good pick for the Kansas City Chiefs at the top of this draft.
Now, Chiefs take Luke Jokel. Great pick. He's the best player in this draft. I mean, he's going to provide protection for Alex Smith for years to come and for other Kansas City quarterbacks after him. I cannot disagree with this pick. Great pick by Kansas City. Take the best player available and move on and hopefully contend for the playoffs in this 2013 season.
Let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2. What do you think they're going to do at 2, James?
Well, that sound tells us that they've already picked. So let's hear what our commissioner, Chase Oliver, has to say about this one.
With the second pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Dion Jordan, outside linebacker, Oregon University. Oakland Raiders, you are now on the clock.
Well, all right. Dion Jordan going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they said previously this week that they've gotten down to 2 players that they were going to take at number 2. I thought that they were probably going to go Geno Smith here, but I guess they ultimately decided that they needed Dion Jordan in the defense. That way he can make more of an impact on that defense that has been decent, but hasn't been really good or great over the past couple of seasons.
Yes, definitely, James. I think that this was a move that needed to be made. I feel like at 2, I don't think this pick could have been spent on Geno Smith. Like you said, their general manager, Dave Caldwell, had made mention that he had narrowed it down to 2 players, and one of them was, in fact, Dion Jordan. As we now know, he was the selection here. They only had 20 sacks on the season, did the Jacksonville Jaguars. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. You have to. It's a must in this league to get pressure on the opposing QB. Dion Jordan is going to infuse this front 7 with some athleticism that previously did not exist for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I love the pick. I love the move. Now let's see if the Jacksonville Jaguars can get the most out of Dion Jordan with this selection.
And that noise tells us that the Oakland Raiders have now made their pick. What's going on, Chase?
With the third pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Sharif Floyd, defensive tackle, Florida University.
No surprise here, James. I think we all kind of saw this one coming. We saw the writing on the
Eagles
wall.
are now on the clock.
We figured this one would occur just the way it did. The Raiders were all over Sharif Floyd from the minute this thing started. They were enamored with him and what he was able to do at the University of Florida. They love the way his game translates to the NFL. And they want to build this thing from within and spread it out. And so they want to make sure that their offensive lines and defensive lines are intact before they start going after skill position players. So this move makes a lot of sense for the Oakland Raiders and where they are as a franchise right now. What do you think, James?
You hit the nail right on the head. Reggie McKenzie, new general manager for the Oakland Raiders, that is his plan. He wants to start in the middle, in the trenches, in the line of scrimmage, offensive line and defensive line, and then spread out. You said it perfectly. That's their plan. And if that is their plan, they're doing a good job at it right now. Taking Sharif Floyd was a great pick here. My only problem with Sharif Floyd, I don't think he gets enough pressure. He isn't known for getting a lot of pressure. I understand that. He's a big run stuffer. But I like defensive tackles that can get after the quarterback and take down the quarterback. But nonetheless, I do like this pick for the Oakland Raiders.
I think that it's a really good pick. Let's see what the Eagles decide to do it for.
All right, Philadelphia Eagles, what's going on, Commissioner Chase?
With the fourth pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Lane Johnson, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. Detroit Lions, you are now on the clock.
Wow, this is a surprise to me. I thought for sure that they would have Eric Fisher over Lane Johnson, but Lane Johnson has been rising up draft boards as of late. Are you shocked by this pick?
You know what? As much as I would like to say yes, I am, I'm not, because you know what? Chip Kelly is a guy that loves big, athletic offensive linemen. We saw what Lane Johnson was able to do at the Combine and what he was able to do at Oklahoma. This is a big, physical, athletic tackle, and we know what Chip Kelly wants to do, that up-tempo offense, get up and down the field. He needs guys that are athletic, that can run and make things happen at the second and third level. I think Lane Johnson is that type of tackle, and I think he just couldn't help himself, could Chip Kelly. He went with the athletic marvel, Lane Johnson, out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm just still kind of shocked. I mean, I personally, I love Eric Fisher. I thought Eric Fisher and Luke Joker were really close for that number one position in this draft, but ultimately, I guess that the Philadelphia Eagles wanted Lane Johnson, but I thought that they needed to take a tackle. Whether it was Lane Johnson, Eric Fisher, I think they did a good job going after a tackle. The biggest problem with this team, yes, their defense was not very good, but Michael Vick could not stay upright. He could not get any time to throw the football down the field. There was no protection for him. This gives him more protection on that offensive line, or whoever the hell they start. Whether it's Nick Foles, Trent Edwards, whoever the hell they just signed, they need protection, and this Lane Johnson pick, if he can stay healthy, of course, will give them that protection.
I agree. I think that the line was really in flux last year. They had some key injuries. Jason Peters will be back. Todd Harrimans will be back now. So this pick, kind of questionable to me. But if they're looking for an upgrade at the tackle position, I think Jason Peters is definitely your left tackle day one. I think that if they're looking to start Lane Johnson immediately, he'll be at that right tackle position. Maybe they'll kick Todd Harrimans inside. Let's see what happens at 5 with the Detroit Lions.
All right, well, let's see what happens. Commissioner Chase?
With the fifth pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select D. Milliner, Alabama cornerback. Cleveland, you're on the clock.
Wow, so I thought for sure with Eric Fisher on the board, I thought the Detroit Lions were going to take him. They lost Gardner Chairless to free agency. Jeff Backus retired. Why not take Eric Fisher here? I don't know. I guess they love D. Milliner.
Yeah, this is a questionable pick, James, because I just feel like you got to replace the tackle. Matthew Stafford, Megatron, that offense, you now have Reggie Bush. You got to be able to have this offense clicking on all cylinders. The way to do that is to make sure your tackle position is fortified on both sides. I think they really missed the boat here to get an elite tackle at the top of this draft. Now, they do get a good player. They get a really good football player in D. Milliner. There's no doubt about that, but there were more pressing needs on the Detroit Lions roster, primarily at the tackle position. They missed out on an opportunity to fill a need with a really good football player in Eric Fisher. Look, at the end of the day, you take the player that's best on your board. Maybe they had D. Milliner rated higher on their board than they did Eric Fisher.
Yeah, I guess, D. Milliner, I love D. Milliner. He's been compared to Darrelle Revis, saying maybe he can be that next shutdown corner. I don't love him that much, but he is the best corner in that draft, and he could go into Detroit and help finally salvage that secondary that's been so bad for so many years now. So I can understand this pick. This is their second biggest need to me. But when there's a player that can fix your first biggest need, I don't understand it a lot. So the Cleveland Browns have just traded their pick.
I bet it's the most shocking thing.
The Detroit Lions. Wow.
What?
Detroit Lions have traded a second, a fourth, and next year's third-round pick to get back to this pick.
Well,
wow.
How does that fit with the points?
Now on the clock. Who any thoughts on this major trade?
That is mind-boggling. We just talked about this, James. We just talked about the Lions having some kind of secondary plan. They had to have something in the works to pass on a tackle. There was no way that they could confidently select D. Milliner and pass on a tackle unless they knew something that we didn't. And, of course, they were privy to some information that we weren't. Apparently, they had the trade in the works, and I'm pretty sure that they made sure that the trade was going to go through before they made the selection. It makes a lot of sense now. At first, when the pick was made for D. Milliner, it did not. I guess now that pick, in essence, makes sense.
All right, and the Detroit Lions are on the clock. Commissioner Chase Oliver, what's the report?
With the sixth pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Eric Fisher, offensive tackle, Central Michigan.
And there he goes. Eric Fisher off the board.
Arizona Cardinals are on the block.
I have to hand it to Jim Schwartz and that Lions front office. They just really, to me, just won this draft already. Because you just got the top corner in this draft and somebody that you could debate being the top tackle in this draft as well. Two positions that you need in this league. They just got both of them in the first round. And there's no way, to me, that either of these guys are going to be busts.
Now, what was the trade again here? What was the compensation for this pick?
It was a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a third-round pick from next year's draft.
Well, yeah, the Detroit Lions just absolutely fleeced the Cleveland Browns. To come up that far, we're talking getting back into the first round and not giving up a first-round pick. That is amazing in itself. And I feel like the Detroit Lions have absolutely stole this first round by getting two players in the top 10, consecutive picks in the top 10. That is amazing. They've got two players that they can plug in day one, have them start, and be very productive players for them in the league right away.
Yeah, definitely surprising to see that. It really is quite amazing. I mean, the Detroit Lions actually just came up with one of the best moves I've ever seen in the NFL draft. And we're going to see if we see any more moves. We have the Arizona Cardinals on the clock. What do you see the Arizona Cardinals doing now that three tackles are off the board?
Well, I think they had a contingency plan in place, did the Arizona Cardinals. They had to know that there was a very distinct possibility that all three of these tackles would be gone by 7. I think their backup plan will be guard here. They need help in the interior of their line. I think with Levi Brown coming back, that will allow Bobby Massey to slide back to the right side. Now, your problem is at right guard with Pat McQuinston. You can't have Pat McQuinston starting at right guard. I think here you take the best guard available on the board. Now, everyone has a different cup of tea. Some like Chance Warmack. Others like the guard out of North Carolina. So what are you going to do? Which one fits your system better? For me, Jonathan Cooper probably fits a little bit more what they want to do in Arizona. But, again, you can't be sure. If I'm the Arizona Cardinals, you take the best guard available on your board, and I think that guy is probably going to be Chance Warmack.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it can go either way. I love these guys. I love both of them. Chance Warmack is a superior run blocker. Jonathan Cooper is a superior pass blocker. However, you can both coach them up to learn that other part of their game. So either way you go here, I love it. Let's go to Commissioner Chase Oliver. Oh, God damn it. Chase, you messaged me, so I was just like, okay, that has to be the pick.
No.
Okay. All right. So, God. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna edit this part. Thank God this is not live.
If it was live, we would have had to practice.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Commissioner Chase Oliver with the 7th pick.
With the 7th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Chance Warmack, Alabama, offensive guard. Buffalo Bills, you're on the clock.
Well, Lou, you predicted it correctly. Chance Warmack goes off the board to the Arizona Cardinals, and you said it. They wanted to go guard here. They have faith in Levi Brown and Bobby Massey. Levi Brown being on the left, Bobby Massey being on the right. They love that combination. Now it's the interior that they now have to worry about. B.D. Wells cannot do anything behind this interior offensive line. Kevin Kolb is getting sacked from left, right, middle. So they fixed the left, right. Now they have to focus on the middle. And I think they've done that here with a mauler in Chance Warmack.
I agree. I think that was the move to make here at 8. You really wanted the tackle. Tackles aren't available. You go to the next best thing. You go guard. You take the best one available in the draft to the Arizona Cardinals. That apparently was Chance Warmack, offensive guard out of Alabama. This guy is huge. He's a mammoth of a man. I once heard that this man could actually cover the sun. He's so big. They need that kind of protection up front. Carson Palmer isn't running anywhere at this stage of his career. He needs to be protected in that pocket. They got Rashard Mendenhall. They're going to have Ryan Williams coming off of injury. They need to be able to run the football. I think this is a really good move and a big step towards them being able to do that in the 2013 season. You look at the next pick, it's the Buffalo Bills. A lot of different options here for the Bills, James. I've heard Tavon Austin. I've heard Geno Smith. What do you think the Bills are going to do at 8?
Well, the Buffalo Bills, with Geno Smith still on the board, they need to take him to me. Geno Smith needs to find his home in Buffalo. I do not have faith in young Kevin Kolb, and I definitely do not have faith in Tavares Jackson. Okay? Tavares Jackson and Kevin Kolb should no longer be starting in the NFL. They've shown over the past 2 seasons that they cannot deal with the starting quarterback position, and that they should not be starting anymore to me. So, smartest thing to do with Geno Smith still on the board, I think, is to take Geno Smith.
That would be a very ballsy and bold pick. I think that if you are the Buffalo Bills, you have a lot of pressing needs of your own. And I think that at 8, I just think it's too high to take a quarterback in this draft. Let's see what the Bills decide to do. We'll send it to the commissioner.
With the 8th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Geno Smith, quarterback, West Virginia University.
Whoa!
There he goes, Geno, going number 8 to the Buffalo Bills. Yes, the New York Jets are now on the clock. Geno Smith going to the Buffalo Bills. No surprise for me. We all knew if he got down to number 8, there was no way he was going to get past there. Geno Smith, number 8, Buffalo Bills. And I think they made the right decision here.
I have my doubts about this one. Can Geno Smith cut the football through that Buffalo Orchard Park wind in December and in January if the Bills were able to make it that far? I don't think his arm is strong enough to contend with the wintry conditions of Buffalo. We've seen him struggle in college in cold games when the weather was inclement. I don't know if I agree with this pick. Look, you can't avoid that kind of weather in Buffalo. I don't know if Geno Smith is the guy you want being your quarterback in those type of conditions. We'll see how this move pans out for the Buffalo Bills, but at the end of the day, they got their guy, they got their man at 8, Geno Smith, the new franchise quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Let's see how long it takes him to crack that starting lineup now. What do you think about that, James? How long do you think it's going to be before we see Geno Smith in Buffalo as the starting QB?
It has to be immediately. I mean, I understand. I love when teams decide to wait on their quarterback, but this is the number 1 quarterback in the draft. This isn't Jake Locker. This is Geno Smith. I want to see what he's got. I don't think you can use the bridge technique like Pete Carroll or anything. I think you have to say, Geno Smith, here you go. All right, because I don't even want Kevin Cole teaching you how to throw the football. He doesn't even know himself. So Geno Smith, go in there, throw the football. Let's see what you can do. Our next pick is in New York Jets.
With the 9th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Tavon Austin, wide receiver, West Virginia University.
Wow. Big shocker to me.
Pick.
That is huge to me. Now, we all know that recently Tavon Austin has picked up steam and has passed Cordero Patterson as the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. That's no surprise to any of us. But it is a surprise to me that the Jets decide at number 9 to take Tavon Austin. Coach me through this. What were they thinking?
Look, Mark Sanchez, as we all know, has struggled mightily at the quarterback position. But it does not help him one bit that they don't have options for him to get the football to. When Santonio Holmes went down with injury last year, the Jets' receiving core was depleted for all intents and purposes. I mean, you look at Stephen Hill, he could not stay healthy last year, and even when he was inconsistent, being a rookie in the league out of Georgia Tech. You look at Jeremy Curley, he's not ready for the prime time. I think he's a solid receiver, but not a guy you want to be throwing the football to as a number 1 or number 2 option in your offense, and they just really struggle. So they look at Tavon Austin as a guy that can give them a shot in the arm in the returns game. The Jets were horrendous in the returns game a season ago. They look at Tavon Austin as a guy that can be a playmaker for Mark Sanchez. And look, Mark Sanchez is not the type of guy you want reading the field and dropping back and chucking it 50 or 40 times in a game. The more big plays you can get out of this offense, the more times you can get the ball out of his hands and into a guy like Tavon Austin, the better this Jets offense will be. And so I think the Jets felt like, hey, we need a guy that can help us put points on the board instantly. And they got that guy in Tavon Austin.
Absolutely. I love me some Tavon Austin. Ultimately, good pick for the Jets. Let's see what the Tennessee Titans do with the 10th pick.
With the 10th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Jonathan Cooper, offensive guard, North Carolina.
No surprise here for the Tennessee Titans. They did get Andy Levitre in free agency. However, Rob Turner just isn't a good option at right guard. He is a serviceable backup, but not a starter in the NFL. So, taking Jonathan Cooper here, open up more holes for Chris Johnson, give more protection to Jake Locker, and this will allow the Tennessee Titans to have a more prolific offense in 2013, something they desperately need.
I like the move. I think that this is going to fortify this interior of this offensive line. Look, the Titans have to run the football. Let's be frank. They have Jake Locker at the quarterback position. They need to protect him. I don't think he's ready to start slinging the football around the field 35 to 40 times. They need to protect him with a very good running attack. And the way to do that is to make sure your horses up front are able to move the line of scrimmage up the field. Getting a guy like Jonathan talking about, I think this is a great move for the Tennessee Titans.
Absolutely. I love this pick for the Tennessee Titans, as I am a Tennessee Titans fan.
So now we look at the San Diego Chargers. They're at 11. And, look, they needed a tackle. There are no tackles available. Let's see what the Chargers do. Let's send it to the commission.
It's going to be interesting.
With the 11th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the San Diego Chargers select Cordell Patterson, wide receiver, Tennessee. Miami.
Wow, so another wide receiver goes off the board. Cordero Patterson going off the board. Wow, I mean, I'm really surprised that the San Diego Chargers took this route, but I do understand it as well. They do need more weapons, but ultimately, I'm left wanting more from the San Diego Chargers.
As we all are. Every single season, it seems like the Chargers are in the same position. I felt like they went out and wasted money in free agency last year. And by the pick that they just made, that has been confirmed. You went out and you spent money on Eddie Royal. You went out and spent money on Robert Meacham. You ended up getting a guy like Denario Alexander during the middle of the season. And now you go and draft a receiver in the first round with your first overall selection in this draft. I just don't understand what direction the San Diego Chargers are going in, but I can't understand that they want to get Phillip Rivers a legit target to throw the football to. That is understandable, but I thought that the San Diego Chargers, they need any offensive body on that line that they can get. It really didn't matter, guard, tackle. They could use everything except the center right now. And so this was a very questionable pick to me, but again, I understand the logic. And if he is your best player available on the board, then you need to stay true to your board, and maybe that's exactly what the thinking was here while making this pick for the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, maybe that's what was going into it. I mean, I am a Tennessee Volunteers fan, but I just don't completely understand the love for Cordero Patterson. I do believe that he can be a very good number 2. I mean, I just don't ultimately believe he's a number 1. And I think with the 11th pick in the NFL draft, you're looking for a number 1 wide receiver, and I don't think the Chargers have found it here. Malcolm Floyd, yes, was pretty good last year, but it wasn't a great number 1, and I think they're not going to be finding that number 1 for a while.
So we look at the Dolphins now, who have the 12th pick in the draft, and I think that here it has to either be a corner or a defensive end. You could see a guy like Ezekiel Ziggy Ansah come off the board. Maybe a guy like Xavier Rhodes come off the board here at 12 for the Dolphins. I think that probably the most pressing need for them right now would be at the cornerback position. You lose Sean Smith in free agency. You do go out and get a guy like Brent Grimes, but I think that you have to keep in mind he's coming off of an ACL injury and he's 30 years old. I would not be surprised if Xavier Rhodes, the cornerback out of Florida State, is the pick here. Maybe they decide to go defensive end and get a guy like Ezekiel Ziggy Ansah to come in, or maybe a Jarvis Jones. Who knows? Let's see what the Dolphins will do with this pick. James, what do you think about the Dolphins at 12?
Well, the Dolphins need to go Xavier Rhodes. If they do not, I will be confused.
With the 12th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Xavier Rhodes, cornerback, Florida State University. And also, a trade has just been made. San Diego's first overall selection, Cordell Patterson, has been traded to the Rams for their 16th overall pick and their second-round selection of this year. Our third-round selection.
Wow. All right. Well, now we understand more about why the Chargers took Cordero Patterson. Maybe just because they wanted to snatch him away from the St. Louis Rams. Use Cordero Patterson as bait for the St. Louis Rams, and then have the St. Louis Rams have to trade for him. That way the Chargers can get some picks out of it. What do you think about this?
I think what the reasoning here was they had an understanding. They had an understanding with the Rams that if we take your guy, we'll move back to 16. You'll give us the pick. We'll give you the player. We'll also pick up an additional pick later in the draft. I think that we just talked about the Chargers needing offensive line help. Maybe the value wasn't there at 11 for them, so they decide to move back to 16, where it's more feasible for a guy like DJ Fluker to come off of the board. So I'm thinking they go back, they get the tackle, they acquire another pick, so they get another body down the road. This is a very deep draft, and so I understand the logic now. Again, another trade clearing up something that seemed to be very cloudy early on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's becoming more clear. It's actually becoming quite interesting, these trades. Becoming more and more interesting as this draft goes along, as their players go away, teams are starting to get a little desperate, a little jittery on making moves that they should or shouldn't make. We'll see how it affects the teams in the long run. But this is why I love NFL draft season.
Couldn't agree with you more, James. This is what makes this thing extremely fun. Now we look at the next pick in the draft. It's the Jets. As we know, they made the trade for Darrelle Revis. So the Bucs come out of this pick. The Jets now own the 13th overall selection. Let's see who the Jets decide to take. I thought this pick was going to be a receiver, but they went and got the receiver early on at 9. So now they have 13 right here staring them in the face. This has to be a defensive player. I think this has to be a guy that can get after the quarterback. What do you think, James?
Ultimately, I think it has to be Ezekiel Ansah here, but we're going to see what happens.
With the 13th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Kenny Vaccaro, safety from Texas University.
Wow, so
Kenny are now on the clock.
So Kenny Vaccaro now goes off the board for the New York Jets.
It makes a lot of sense.
I really couldn't be more shocked. I mean, I honestly could not be more shocked. What are your thoughts on this, Lou? I mean, wow.
You know what? It makes a lot of sense, though. When you think about it, James, LaRon Landry was back there manning up the safety. He might have been the best player on the Jets defense a season ago. And he's now gone. He's now in Indianapolis. Since Rex Ryan has taken over as Jets head coach, he's always had a guy back in the safety position that he could trust. When his defense was at its best, he had Jim Leonard back there blitzing, dropping into coverage, just doing a multitude of things. And he's been looking for that guy ever since Jim Leonard departed. He found him last year in LaRon Landry. Now he's gone. I think that he wants that safety back there to control this defense. And Kenny Vaccaro can do it all on the football field. We saw this guy run with Tavon Austin. Let's go to the next pick. It's the Carolina Panthers at 14. Let's talk to the commission.
With the 14th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle, Missouri University.
Well,
I think that to wrap up what we were talking about before, look, I think it's a great move by the Jets. It's a little surprising, yes, but they definitely could use safety help. Now, on to the Panthers. With the 14th selection, they take Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle out of Mizzou. Look, I think he's the most athletic defensive tackle in this draft. If you look at the way Missouri used him, this guy was standing up. He was rushing from all different types of angles. He's not your customary and your normal defensive tackle. This guy can get it done from multiple positions on the field. What do you think about this pick, James?
Well, I said this to you. Remember, I told you last week. I believe that these defensive tackles are going to fall. All right, what are the Saints going to do?
With the 15th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints pick DJ Fluker, tackle, Alabama.
Wow, so I guess the New Orleans Saints really were hurt by Jermon Bushrod leaving the team. I'm still quite shocked by this pick. Do you really believe that tackle is a big need for them, Lou?
They need to replace him, but DJ Fluker is a right tackle in this league. And they do have James Brown on their roster, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And I really don't know if this was the right way to go here, but Drew Brees is your franchise player. You're paying him one of the biggest contracts in the league, and so you got to protect him first and foremost. You got to make sure that this offense is clicking on all cylinders. Without this offense, this team does not function because the defense year in and year out is spotty at best. So I get the move. Again, I thought this was a pick that should have been spent on a defensive player that can get pressure on the quarterback, because we know the Saints can score plenty of points. But if you cannot stop teams from scoring, it's going to be very hard for the Saints to outscore teams every single week in this league.
And remember, San Diego traded to this pick, so San Diego is now on the clock.
With the 16th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the San Diego Chargers select Barkevius Mingo, defensive end, outside linebacker, Louisiana State University. The Steelers are on the clock.
Wow. I thought this was the trade back to get the tackle. Fluker came off the board. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't all along the pick here for the San Diego Chargers. They had to have had a plan, though, to come back. They knew that they ran the risk of not getting DJ Fluker when they traded back, so they had to have had a plan. If Fluker was the first option and he wasn't available, then they would go to the next option. I wonder if Mingo wasn't available either, would they have had another option, though? Who knows?
I mean, it's quite interesting. I want to go inside of the head of the Chargers front office right now about what they're thinking. Now, yes, I do like coming back for Barkevius Mingo. There's no need to take him at 11. Take him at 16, get a draft pick out of it. But, I mean, yeah, you raise a great point there. We're going to see what the Pittsburgh Steelers do with this pick. They made their pick.
With the 17th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Jarvis Jones, outside linebacker, Georgia University. Dallas, you're on the clock.
Well, if you remember, Jarvis Jones was a huge prospect coming into about January. But then some stuff happened at the combine off-season, and he's fallen. This guy was projected to be a top 5 pick. He was even in the running for the Heisman, which was outrageous to me. But ultimately, I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers have gotten better with this pick. This is a pick that they needed to make. They've made this pick now. They probably would have liked to gotten a wide receiver, but you cannot take anybody after Tavon Austin or Cordero Patterson here. So the Pittsburgh Steelers take Jarvis Jones. They'll like Jarvis Jones. Hopefully he can be a presence that James Harrison was for a long time.
I think this was their guy all along at 17. And they're extremely ecstatic that he fell to them. I mean, this is exactly the type of pick that the Steelers make every single year, it seems like. They get guys to fall to them that they're looking at. And I think Jarvis Jones is a Pittsburgh Steeler through and through. This was a guy that they had very high on their board. They didn't expect him to fall to them. I think they thought that he would come off the board earlier, but in fact he was still there, and they get their guy at 17 in my estimation.
All right, well, let's see what the Dallas Cowboys do here at 18.
With the 18th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Star Latulier, nose tackle, Utah University.
Well, here it goes, Star Latulier finally going off of the board. I believe that the heart issue must have scared off a lot of these teams, but the Dallas Cowboys need some help in that interior defensive line. I had mocked Sheldon Richardson here. Obviously, he's no longer available, but they'll take Star Lotulelei, someone that's even been projected in the top 5 as recently as yesterday.
To have Kenny Vaccaro? Maybe. Did they think that Star Latu would be? Did they think that Star Lotulelei would be here? Probably not. But they get a guy that has top 10 talent at number 18. You really can't argue with the production that he had at Utah. And with the recent injuries to Jay Ratliff and that big contract that he has, I wouldn't be surprised if Star Lotulelei is in training to take over at that nose tackle position, and the Cowboys could be looking to move Jay Ratliff out of that position and possibly off of this football team.
I mean, yeah, ultimately, they'll Star Lotulelei. Great pick for the Dallas Cowboys. They finally need to make the playoffs, and he can get them there. I mean, that's what we want to look for from a draft pick in this 18, 19, 20 teams that just cannot break into the playoffs. Can they finally break into the playoffs? I think Star Lotulelei can do that here at number 18. Let's move on to the New York Giants. What do you see them doing?
I actually see the Giants. What do the Giants always do? They normally draft defensive ends, and so Bjorn Warner is still on the board. I think that's the guy that the Giants ultimately decided to take at 19. We know that Osi Umenyiora departed. He's now in Atlanta. The Giants love to take defensive ends. It just makes a lot of sense for the Giants to go defensive end here and try to get maybe a guy that's been falling down draft boards goes here. In DeMontre Moore, who knows? I just think that the Giants are going to go defensive end.
With the 19th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Alec Ogletree, middle linebacker, Georgia University.
All right, well,
Bears are now on the clock.
I guess the Giants decided that replacing Chase Blackburn in that linebacking core was a big priority for them, and I have to agree. I mean, ultimately, like you said, they love to take defensive ends, but at the end of the day, they don't really need a defensive end. But I believe that they really do need to fix that linebacking core up, bring in a replacement for Chase Blackburn, and I think they've done that here with Alec Ogletree, first out inside linebacker taken, not Manti Te'o.
I think it's a great move by the Giants. Their linebacking core has been deficient for the last 3 or 4 seasons strong. They need help. There's no more Chase Blackburn. There's no more Michael Boley. They're struggling at the linebacker position. Jayshawn Williams is not the answer outside. And so they got to get more guys out there that can play the linebacker position. I think that's one of the biggest needs on this football team. The Giants love to draft defensive ends, but I think that linebacker is a huge need for them, and they filled one of those voids with Alec Ogletree, a very athletic linebacker out of Georgia. He can play the weak side. He can play the middle linebacker position for them. It'd be interesting to see how they decide to use him in New York. Let's go to the commish with the 21st pick.
With the 20th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears take Manti Te'o, linebacker, Notre Dame.
Back-to-back inside linebackers being taken in this draft. Alec Ogletree and now Manti Te'o going in the first round, going pretty early, middle first round, number 20, Manti Te'o replacing Brian Urlacher, which isn't a great name to replace. What do you guys think about? What do you think about this one, Lou?
I think it's a solid pick by the Bears. To me, I look at Manti Te'o, and he seems like a prototypical Chicago Bears linebacker. A big guy, physical, can move around, can make plays, can pick the football off. We saw him with 7 interceptions in his senior year at Notre Dame. I think this is a solid pick. The Bears are a very opportunistic defense. I think Manti Te'o fits right into what they want to do on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Now we want to move on to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals don't have any big glaring needs. Where do you see them going here?
Well, you keep in mind they have not been able to reach an agreement with Andre Smith, their right tackle. He's asking for a little bit too much money in the eyes of the Cincinnati Bengals. So tackle definitely could be on the horizon for the Bengals at 21. You look at this football team, and I can't see another player being selected here other than an offensive tackle.
With the 21st pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Eddie Lacy, running back, Alabama.
All right. Wow. Cincinnati Bengals making running back a priority. We all know Ben Jarvis Green Ellis did work.
The St. Louis Rams are now on the clock.
We all know Ben Jarvis Green Ellis did work last year in Cincinnati. However, he only averaged 3.9 yards per carry. So maybe they feel that they need to bring in another running back behind him that can also get into the trenches, work deep down in there, and then maybe give them a more dynamic to their offense. But I don't know about this one.
So the Cincinnati Bengals draft Ben Jarvis Green Ellis to replace Ben Jarvis Green Ellis?
Eddie Lacy to replace Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
My point exactly. They're the same back. I don't like this pick. I don't like this move. They do the same thing. They are the same back. One is just a little bit more physical than the other, but there's no gain in speed here. There's no extra added value. You're getting the same back. If the Bengals were going to pick a back, they should have went Jonathan Franklin, running back out of UCLA, and they did not have to take it here. I just feel like this was a lateral move by the Cincinnati Bengals. You drafted Eddie Lacy to replace Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, but what you essentially did was draft Ben Jarvis Green Ellis to replace Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
All right, well, we move on to the St. Louis Rams, their second pick of this draft. What do you see them doing at number 22?
I look at the St. Louis Rams, and I think they got to go safety here. I mean, you missed the boat earlier with the safety position. You got to go safety in my eyes here. You've got several different options on the board. Maybe a guy like Eric Reed. You've also got Matt Elam, also Jonathan Cyprien. So you've got options here. There's only been one safety taken to this point. So I think that the St. Louis Rams will be happy to know that they have three different safeties they can pick from at this pick.
With the 22nd pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Eric Reed, safety, LSU.
Not a surprise here. It's not a surprise here, James. I thought that safety would be a high priority for the Rams. I thought that they would take a safety at 22, and that's exactly what they decided to do. Very athletic safety in Eric Reed. Didn't have the best senior year.
The Minnesota Vikings are on the clock.
At LSU. But he had a strong junior season, showed people what he could do. I think that the athleticism and the height and the size all culminates in a first-round selection for Eric Reed to the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, St. Louis Rams. Kenny Vaccaro wasn't here. He wasn't there at 16. So, unfortunately, they're going to have to go Eric Reed, which is a little bit of a reach for me. To me, it is a reach taking him here. But ultimately, you believe that he's your guy. He was great back there for the LSU defense. Why not? Why not take Eric Reed here if you believe he's your guy, and mostly if he is?
I agree, and I think that's what happened. They took their guy, they got their man, and so the Rams are extremely happy at 22. You look at 23 now, Minnesota Vikings here. They've got a couple of positions of need. You get Greg Jennings in the offseason, but I think you still got a glaring need at receiver. You also look at the middle linebacker position. You don't have one. You lost Jasper Brinkley to the Arizona Cardinals in free agency. That's a glaring need as well. So the Cardinals can definitely use several different options here at 23. Let's see what they decide to do. What do you have, James? What do you think they're going to do at 23?
Well, they would have liked to see Manti Te'o here, but I think they're going to go receiver here. Keenan Allen still on the board at this time. Maybe they go Justin Hunter. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins, for God's sake. I mean, receiver now is the biggest need. Maybe they have to go interior defensive line. I like their interior defensive line, but maybe that's where they're going to go here. It's going to definitely be interesting to see where the Minnesota Vikings will go from here now that Manti Te'o is no longer on the board, and we're going to see what they do. The pick is now in. Commissioner Chase Oliver.
With the 23rd pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Keenan Allen, wide receiver, California.
You hit that one right on the head, James. They went Keenan Allen, the receiver out of Cal. Here's a guy that has a number one receiver potential. And I think the Vikings like what he was able to do in college, the production that he has. Scouts say that this guy is essentially Anquan Bolden. He catches the ball very cleanly and can make some plays. Does not have the top end speed that you look for, but I don't think that should deter you from taking a guy if you think that he's the right one, that he can be a future number one for you. I think it's a solid pick. I like the production from Keenan Allen in college, and I think this was a solid pick that needed to be made by the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep, needed to be made. Yes, they got Greg Jennings in free agency. We all know that. However, that's not enough. That's not enough. Jarius Wright did play well, but he's not ready for that. Jerome Simpson, is he even back? I don't think he's back. He doesn't deserve to be back. And Joe Webb, God. So they need another wide receiver in there. And we're going to see what the Indianapolis Colts do here. I think they have to go to Detone Jones. I mean, that's basically the pick that everyone's been saying for weeks now.
I think he fits perfectly in the 3-4 defense like a glove. And so I think they'll draft Detone Jones here out of UCLA, put him in at the 5 technique, and watch him work.
All right, well, the pick is now in. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the 24th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Bjorn Werner, defensive end, Florida State University.
Well, I thought it was going to be Detone Jones. Instead, it is Bjorn Werner, still a defensive end. But actually, yeah, now that I look back at it, Werner was still on the board. He was ranked highly on a lot of people's boards, and he's still here at 24, Indianapolis Colts. Why not? Why not take Bjorn Werner? You know that you're going to get production from him, maybe more than Detone Jones, who only played against UCLA. Yeah, I said it. I mean, he only played for UCLA against UCLA teams. Why not take somebody in the SEC that played for Florida State, that played great teams? Bjorn Werner, take him here. I like this pick a lot.
I like the pick as well. I thought that Colts head coach Chuck Pagano would want a stronger presence up front, however. I thought that Detone Jones was going to be the pick here, but you look at Bjorn Werner, they went out and got a guy in free agency from the Packers in Eric Walden, who has 9 career sacks. And so you ask yourself, is that enough pressure off the edges with having Walden on one side and having Robert Mathis on the other? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. They draft Bjorn Werner. They look to plug him in probably situational pass rushing downs. And they'll probably ease him into the lineup. And if Eric Walden plays like he did in Green Bay, I could see Bjorn Werner getting a crack at it early on in the 2013 season.
We just got an update on a trade. The Bengals trade Eddie Lacy to the Packers for their current first-round pick and the fourth-round pick. So the Bengals will pick at number 26. But right now, we got the 25th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft with the 25th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Desmond Trufant, quarterback, Washington University.
Well, this makes a lot of sense to me. I like Desmond
on the clock.
I like Desmond Trufant a lot. He did go to Washington, and I have a little thing for Washington because of Jake Walker. But look, I mean, the Minnesota Vikings lost Antoine Winfield in free agency. They do have guys in there. They have A.J. Jefferson, and I mean, but that's not enough. I mean, that's not enough in the NFL. You need 3 good quarterbacks to be good in the NFL. So getting another cornerback here will be a great move for the Minnesota Vikings, which is exactly why they did it. They needed another corner in there because A.J. Jefferson, Chris Cook, Josh Robinson, I'm not loving it. So great pick here. I love this pick.
I think it's a solid move. They did need a cornerback in Minnesota. They lose Antoine Winfield, and so they needed to replace him. They go out and get a guy that they probably coveted in this draft, in Desmond Trufant. He's got a great bloodline, having had 2 brothers already play in the National Football League. He gets it. He understands what it's going to take to get it done in this league, and I think it's a very solid pick by the Minnesota Vikings.
So 26 Cincinnati Bengals, what do you think they're going to do here?
I look at the Bengals, and I think they have to take a tackle. I think you trade back here, maybe at 21. You didn't like the selection of tackles. You didn't think the value was there. You pick up an extra pick. Maybe a guy like Menelik Watson comes off the board here.
With the 26th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Arthur Brown, middle linebacker, Kansas University.
Well, the Bengals just keep on going, and guess what we're going to say? We keep saying tackle, tackle, tackle. They keep going all kinds of positions. Well, I mean, I would understand this pick more if they would have not kept Ray Maluga, but they did. For some reason, they felt the need to do it. Maybe this pick shows that they don't have a lot of faith in them, but if you don't have faith in them, why would you bring them back? I don't understand. Can you please tell me why?
I'm just as much in the dark as you are on this one, James. I have no idea. You bring back Ray Maluga, and then you go out and draft Arthur Brown. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And you also still have the linebacker out of Arizona State that was undrafted a season ago that played really
Vontaze Burfict.
That played really well for you a season ago. And so it's a logjam at the linebacker position now with Arthur Brown being added to the mix. I think that this move was overkill in my estimation. You're still lacking a tackle in Cincinnati, so you did not address an area of need in the first round, yet you go for a position that already has players stocked at it. Again, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, this might have been the highest rated player on your board. But at that pick, if you're going to trade back, you should be filling a need, not drafting someone that's the highest on your board at this point.
Well, the Cincinnati Bengals, hopefully the Houston Texans have better moves here.
The Houston Texans have decided to trade down with the number 30 pick Atlanta Falcons with the 4th round pick in this draft. The Atlanta Falcons with the 27th pick select Tank Carradine, Florida State University defensive end.
Well, Tank Carradine, I mean, I love his name, Tank, goes at 27 to the Atlanta Falcons here. Maybe they feared that the Denver Broncos were going to take him here, or the New England Patriots. 2 teams wanting defensive ends going back to back. Maybe they were a little too worried, so they felt the need to move up to 27 to try to prevent that situation from occurring. Ultimately, what do you think about this?
I think that it's a solid move. The Falcons, they know that they need defensive end help. They need pressure. I think the biggest deficiency in the NFC playoffs last season for the Falcons was lack of pressure on the quarterback. John Abraham injured himself at the end of the season. at the end of the regular season, and they had no one to get pressure on the quarterback. They were carved up by the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson. They were able to escape by the skin of their teeth. Then they go to the NFC Championship game and are carved up by Colin Kaepernick and aren't so lucky in that football game. Pressure is the key. No more John Abraham. He's now gone. They decided to address it by getting a player like Tank Carradine out of the draft. Cornelius Tank Carradine is a very good pick for the Atlanta Falcons. I think that this guy is going to go a long way in helping them make a run back at the Super Bowl in the 2013 season.
The Denver Broncos have traded down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and in return they're getting their second pick, their 2014 third and fifth round picks. With the 28th pick of the 2013 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Tyler Eifert, tight end, Notre Dame.
Finally, Tyler Eifert goes off the board. I love me some Tyler Eifert. I mean, this guy is huge, man. I mean, coming out of Notre Dame, this guy is huge, about 6'5", 6'6", decent speed and great hands. I love me some Tyler Eifert.
I agree. I think this guy has all the physical attributes and tools necessary to really be a force in the National Football League. I think that he's going to make a great addition to this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. They could definitely use someone that can work the middle of the field, much like Dallas Clark did for them last year. They need a weapon to complement what they have going on the outsides with Vincent Jackson and Mike Williams. This is a great addition. Now Josh Freeman has to find Tyler Eifert over and over again to help this offense excel in the near future. And give up a pick, you got to do what you got to do to get your guy. Let's go to the commissioner and see who's going next.
With the 29th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select the Tony Jones, outside linebacker, UCLA.
All right, well, that move makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, we all thought it was going to be DeMontre Moore going here. Unfortunately, for the new, actually, it wasn't out unfortunately. They got the guy that they wanted, Tone Jones, the Tony Jones, whatever, however this black guy wants to pronounce it. Ultimately, the great pick. I mean, I thought he was going to go number 24 to the Indianapolis Colts, but Jordan Werner was still there, so Colts will take him happily. But I still love this guy. I still love me some DeTone Jones, UCLA. What do you think about DeTone Jones?
I think DeTone Jones is a solid pick here. To me, he fits more in a 3-4 defense. And the Patriots, and look, I preface that by saying this. Every team in the league plays multiple fronts. So even though your base defense might be a 4-3, you're going to play some 3-4, you're going to play some 4-6, you're going to play some 4-3. You're going to play a lot of different looks, a multitude of looks. So this pick makes sense because the Patriots are going to give you multiple looks. Bill Belichick loves to switch it up. And so DeTone Jones fits in. To me, he's a 5 technique type of guy. He's probably going to be playing some of the 4, maybe a little bit of the 3 in New England. And so we'll see how it all works out. But solid pick for the New England Patriots with DeTone Jones out of UCLA.
So where do you think the Houston Texans are going to go here?
Look, after got to be wide receiver. Don't you agree, James?
It has to be. Andre Johnson wants one. Why not get one?
With the 30th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Justin Hunter, wide receiver, Tennessee.
Well, Justin Hunter goes here, wide receiver, Tennessee. I mean, I love this guy. I love this guy so much. I think he's better than Cordero Patterson. I think he could be better than Tavon Austin. I love me some Justin Hunter. People may say, well, he didn't really produce against the SEC teams, Georgia, Alabama, and such. And I say that's because Tyler Bray stunk. That's because Tyler Bray stunk against these hard defenses. That's why Justin Hunter could not find the football also. He was being double covered, and then that's what allowed Cordero Patterson to show up in those games. But ultimately, I love me some Justin Hunter. I love his size. I love his speed. I love his work ethic. I love Justin Hunter. What can I say?
I love the size. I love the speed. I love the attributes there. I think he needs to get a little tougher, though. I think he's a guy that doesn't really want any contact. He shies away from it. If he wants to excel at the next level, he's going to have to find a way to get a lot stronger. And I think he'll get in this program, and they'll put a couple of pounds of muscle on this young man's frame. He'll come in. He'll work hard. I think Justin Hunter can really excel alongside Andre Johnson. This could be the guy that the Texans have been looking for a long time, to go alongside Andre Johnson and give them that 1-2 punch that they need to maybe take that next step in the AFC conference.
Yep, absolutely. San Francisco 49ers coming up. I mean, this team is stacked. I don't even know where they should go with this pick. Where do you think they should go?
To me, it's no question, safety. That's the one need you have on your football team. There's also a need at defensive tackle. And so losing Isaac Sopoaga and getting rid of him, you also lost your defensive end / defensive tackle, Ricky Jean Francois. I love saying that. And so you've got to find a way to replace either the defensive tackle position or safety at this pick. There are plenty of defensive tackles. We still haven't mentioned the name of Sylvester Williams. You still haven't named Jesse Williams either. I don't think he's a first-round talent, however, but there's still several safeties out there, Elam, Cyprian. So I think the 49ers can go in a multitude of directions. I expect them to either go defensive tackle or safety.
The Denver Broncos have traded up back to the first round, trading the 49ers, their second-round pick that they received recently from Tampa Bay, their fourth-round pick of this year, and with the 31st pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Ezekiel Ziggy Ansah, defensive end, BYU.
Wow, we were talking about this guy potentially going in the top 10, possibly the top 15.
What happened? I mean, top five. What happened? I mean, I don't understand what happened. Ezekiel Ziggy Ansah. Look at all these defensive ends that were taking over Ziggy. I mean, we have Bjorn Werner. I mean, we have Tate Carradine, Detone Jones. All these guys. I don't know. Maybe something going on. Backstage, I don't know what's going on, but Ziggy Ansah, maybe not Luella, maybe teams don't like the fact that he's somewhat of a project to work on, but we're going to see what happens with Ziggy Ansah. I mean, the Denver Broncos trading back into the first round to get this pick. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a very surprising move on the part of the Broncos, because they could have stand pat and gotten this guy, and instead they traded out. And so now they want back in to get a defensive end. And this is a guy that we were talking about potentially going in the top 10, top 15, and all of a sudden now potentially top 5. And now he's at 31 or 30, and he's at 31 now. And so you look at the 49ers and you say, wow, you actually traded this pick. You already got about 14 picks under your belt, and you added another pick and some more picks next year. It's amazing how these picks just keep multiplying for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite ridiculous, to be honest. But, I mean, well, what are you going to do? Teams finding ways to get things done. We're going to see what the Baltimore Ravens do with this pick. The pick is now in. Let's see what they're going to do. Final pick of the first round.
First of all, I would like to thank everyone for coming to the NFL Draft Day 1. But with the final pick in the 2013 first round of the NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Jonathan Cyprian, Free safety, Florida International University.
And there goes Jonathan Cyprien, the eventual replacement of Ed Reed. I guess, and that's what they must be guessing here. And also, let's not forget Bernard Pollard also leaving that safety course. So they needed a safety. They got him here. What are your thoughts on Jonathan Cyprien?
I like Cyprien a lot. I think he's a playmaking safety. He's made a lot of plays in his career at FIU. I think that the Ravens were enamored with the fact that not only can he make plays on the football, but he's a guy that's physically imposing that will come up and hit you. And they're going to be missing a little bit of both. Bernard Pollard was the enforcer on that defense. Ed Reed was the playmaker. They feel like they're getting a little bit of both in Jonathan Cyprien. And so they like this guy out of a smaller school to come in and really play some football for them. And I think it's a very good move on the part of the Baltimore Ravens to kind of kill two birds with one stone and getting a guy like Jonathan Cyprien. Remember, keep in mind, they already went out and got Michael Huff in free agency, and so they're going to pair him up with Jonathan Cyprien, and that's going to be a nice, solid safety tandem back there.
Oh, yeah, good job catching me on that one. I almost forgot about Michael Huff. He's going to be primarily playing safety for them. Jonathan Cyprien, Michael Huff, not bad, the transition for the Baltimore Ravens. And there you go. Our first round draft simulation. Comment down below your thoughts on this. Share with your friends. This is how we see the NFL draft playing out. Lou Testamark, thank you for joining me on commentary for an hour plus. Don't understand how Chris Berman, Mel Kiper, Mike Mayock, and all these other losers do it, but we found a way to do it. It was a lot of fun.
Beer. Lots of
thanks
beer.
a lot. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, man. It was a lot of fun. And I look forward to actually seeing the draft play out, man. Maybe it'll play out like we just did it. Who knows? We'll see.
Maybe. There's a lot of interest. Good thing about this mock draft simulation, a lot of things that you see in the real draft happen. And what is that, you ask? Unpredictability. You can make all the mock drafts you want. You can make all the simulations you want, all the chalk drafts, mock drafts. At the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen because all of these teams could do all kinds of things. And it was great doing this with everybody. Thank you for checking out our mock draft simulation. Make sure to check out the website, beforethesnap.com. Make sure to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/beforethesnap. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/beforethesnap. And Chase Oliver, you have an announcement?
Join us Thursday after the draft as we recap some of the first round picks. We're going to talk about which teams we thought were winners and losers, and also there will be 2 articles for day one's winners and losers of the first day. Also, all weekend long, there will be winners and losers of who won the second day and the third day of the NFL draft, and you definitely want to check it out. And also, I'm going to be posting an article talking about some of the undrafted free agents that I think could make big impacts, just like many players like Kurt Warner, Antonio Gates, and James Harrison in the past. There's always those undrafted free agents we have to look out for.
Yep, absolutely. So there we go. First round mock draft simulation. Thank you all for checking it out. Subscribe to the YouTube channel beforethesnap.com. Keeping you updated with all the football news before the snap. We'll see y'all later. Peace.